Hello, April 6th, episode 96 of Three Things with Ian. On today's episode, all things White Lotus, season 3, Three Things with Ian. See the connection there? So, all of our questions will be answered on tonight's season finale. 90 minutes, apparently. This has already been the longest season of The White Lotus. You get 6 or 7 episodes last time. We are up to 8 episodes. We have the longest episode to date, the finale. Season 3 has been a wild ride with Mike White, the creator of the show, spending all this time showing us these messed up lives of these super rich tourists and all their personal problems. The extra time he's given himself has given us a little bit more of a slower pace, kind of to match the meditative vibes of the Thailand resort, the high-end Thailand resort where all of our guests are staying. Has there been violence? Yes. Has there been weird, kinky, incestual sex? Yes, there has actually been. Unsolved mysteries, you betcha. So everything we come to expect from all the different seasons of The White Lotus, we've had in spades this season. We've had gunshots, armed robbery, white-collar crime, multiple violent threats against most of the guests at the resort. And yes, like I said, some weird fraternal problems. All this boils down to our super-sized finale. So let's get into these 7 most burning questions that you, the viewers, need answered. First, will Guy Talk get a promotion? This may seem like a less important subplot, but honestly, his character has become more and more important. He just last episode was able to unravel that the perpetrators of the crime were likely the Russians. It was Valentin and his 2 Russian buddies who are responsible for that very abrupt armed robbery. Guy Talk has been trouble with his boss. He's been wrestling with self-doubt, wondering if he's too soft to be the bodyguard that he wants to be. Busting the Russians could be exactly what Guy Talk needs to prove to himself and to his lover, his interesting acquaintance there, that he's the guy for the job. Also, White Lotus is obsessed with money. Can a sizable new, bigger salary give him the happiness that he is so often seeking? So, Guy Talk's story matters more than ever. Will the gal pals reconcile? In last week's episode, the 3 lifelong friends, the celebrity actress, Jacqueline, the conservative tech mogul wife, Katie, and the divorced New York City lawyer, Lori, had a big battle, had a big fight, sort of a knives-out encounter, regarding Valentin, and you know what it was about. It was about love. What else? Or at least passion. Honestly, I think these 3 are going to be fine because they kind of work with this deep hate. Their relationship is kind of built on this mutual dislike of each other in a strange way. So I think they'll be fine. I think this will be another chapter of the ongoing saga of the 3 interesting ladies. Tim's business, will it survive? This has got to be a no, right? Just as his family's vacation was beginning, the North Carolina, very interesting accent tycoon Tim Ratliff, played by a wonderful Jason Isaacs. He learned his company back home was essentially being raided by the FBI. There were some shady dealings that he was obviously well aware of and signed off on. The details are still a little bit unclear, but his assets have been seized by the government. Every iota of paperwork or email correspondence and commissions has been seized. He started to escape with whiskey, pills, and suicidal daydreams. He has had quite the vacation. The last thing he heard before he put away his phone for good was that he's facing possible jail time and complete financial ruin. Is it possible that some miracle occurred offline while he's been in the resort? Maybe. I do think Parker Posey, his wife, is going to have to get used to probably being a little poor. I don't see a way that he probably will escape jail time, being a rich white person, but in terms of his assets being seized, I think that him and his son and the family business will have to make a strong pivot. To do what? I don't know. Maybe he will join the Buddhist and at the meditation. That leads me to my 5th question, or 4th question. I lost count. Will any of the Ratliffs become Buddhists? The whole reason the Ratliffs came was to Thailand because Tim's college-age daughter, Piper, claimed to be writing a thesis and needed to interview a famous Buddhist monk. That was really a guise to get to know where she might want to spend a year or two post-college. she is thinking about joining this Buddhist temple and undertaking this meditation course. Long story short, Tim could also be a candidate for needing this conversion, given he's about to lose everything. But Lachlan accompanied the sister. They had some peaceful prayers and some unappetizing dinner. Who will actually be staying with the monks? It's probably nobody. Certainly not Piper's favorite monk, who is wonderfully cast. I think that one of the nicest things about the show is that we finally are able to see some real authentic, not tourists, like real people, real Thai individuals, whether it's the monks or the staff from the hotel. I think it's really cool. One of the more interesting things I think about the show is that when they have the Thai characters speaking the native language, they have the subtitles, and in the background they have the very beautiful Thai characters kind of superimposed. I think that's a nice little touch. But speaking of our Ratliffs, it's possible Saxon, after kind of having a come to Jesus moment himself, sort of the unraveling, too much sex, drugs, and weird thoughts, he may possibly undertake some time with the monks. So I think this is an interesting subplot. I think any of the Ratliffs, save the mom, could pretend or actually go forth and spend some extra time in Thailand with the meditation retreat monks. Another subplot. The Hollingers, will they get revenge on Rick? One of the stranger subplots this season has involved the troubled man of mystery, our Walter Goggins, Rich Hatchett, who presents as some kind of violent criminal / mercenary / really weird failed businessman. The only thing we know about his past is that his father was killed, according to him, by the Jim. Jim is the older man who married the very famous Thai actress who owns the resort. Anyway, looks like according to Rick, Jim Hollinger was responsible for his death after Rick's father defied one of Jim's Thailand land grabs. And so last episode we have this crazy half-cooked scheme where he grabs his buddy Frank, played by Sam Rockwell, and they go to the house and are able to finally meet the couple under the guise of her being cast in a new movie. Rick gets Jim alone, and they have this kind of interesting Inigo Montoya, "You are my father, prepare to die" moment, but then he just kind of pushes him over and then just storms out. I don't know what's going to happen. I know that Jim and his wife are very powerful people. Maybe they will seek some sort of retribution, whether it's by the law, by law or by crook. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. We'll have to find out. I have really enjoyed Sam Rockwell and Walter Goggins. When they're both on screen, it's just a real pleasure because you do not know what's going to happen next. The stuff that they've done and said, you could not have predicted. You just couldn't have. Belinda and Zion. Okay, these are probably the most genuinely good characters on the show. Remember, each White Lotus season, they bring back at least one character. In this case, Belinda Lindsay, played by Natasha Rothwell. She was a spa manager at the Hawaiian White Lotus. Obviously, she befriended Tanya, played by Jennifer Coolidge, who agreed to give her money to help her fund her own spa. We all thought things were going really well. Instead, Tanya ran off with a not-so-good guy, Greg. And season 2, Tanya is dead under very mysterious circumstances, apparently arranged by Greg's associates. We then fast forward to season 3. Belinda comes into contact with Greg, now going by the name Gary. Very close. I think he's worried about forgetting his name. Anyway, Gary's living in a fancy house with a much younger escort, kind of a la Succession, where the oldest brother of the Succession family sort of marries a person that he is paid to be his accompaniment for many, many years, and then they kind of quasi fall in love and get married. Different story for a different time. Anyway, obviously Gary / Greg is keen on remaining hidden from the law, from the truth, offers Belinda $100,000. She refuses. Zion, her son, is kind of miffed and kind of bummed out, strongly urging her to take it, as if this is a way to just solve all our problems. Anyway, so that's where we leave off. Who dies? Like the previous 2 White Lotus seasons, season 3 begins with a flashbang. A flash forward, we see Zion having a therapy session, interrupted by the sound of gunshots. While racing off to find his mother, Zion sees various unidentified people running, then sees a body floating in the pond. presuming this is a corpse, and on the White Lotus there is always a corpse, we need to find out who it belongs to. Keep in mind that the Thai resort staff mentioned that there's some pretty dangerous animals out there. Maybe the gunshot was in relation to them fending off an animal. It's hard to know. Every character obviously has been in some sort of danger. They've written into the plot a plausible way for every character to kind of meet their doom and gloom end, depending on whether there's a reckoning coming. It's coming Sunday night, 9 p.m. All the answers will hopefully be revealed. It being a super long episode, it's probably going to be a little bit drawn out, a little bit bloated. No pun intended with the corpse in the water. We shall see. Season 4 is probably going to be happening. This thing is way too big to be killed. My recommendation for the showrunners and for the producers is maybe do 5 seasons. Get out while the going is good. What makes the show so interesting is that they pick a really weird assemblage of characters. There are some you hate, there are some you love, there are some you find so despicable you can't turn away. In this case, my favorite characters have obviously Parker Posey, as this is the role she was meant to play. Guy Talk is a great character. I'm really enjoying him coming to grips with what he truly wants, what's going to make him happy. Obviously, the show plays on luxury and resorts and richness and what it means to be wealthy and what happiness means. I'm glad. I will end with this one little note, is that I'm happy to see a very natural, the novelty of the natural smile. The girlfriend of Rick, I think her name's Alice. Sorry, I had that show note pinned, but I lost it. Chelsea, a very his soulful girlfriend Chelsea is phenomenal, and she has a very natural, organic looking smile, where she has, she might have had braces in a different episode in a different world. But I like to see that they've kind of gone back to just having real characters look like real human beings. I think that's always a nice touch. Of course, the show is largely people who are beautiful and in shape, but it is good to see the beauty, the allure of a natural smile. Okay, I'm going to end there. I've enjoyed this season. I think with all things White Lotus, the sort of the fun is when you get to talk about it with friends. It's sort of that water cooler moment. It's that cultural touchstone. I think it's an above average show that just builds really nicely. I think seeing it one episode a week kind of is really fun, because the cliffhangers are really good mental fodder. So let's watch it together separately, and then we'll discuss again. This has been 3 Things with Ian, episode 96, All Things White Lotus, season finale tonight. Take care, guys. Goodbye.